I'm excited to be chatting to you today about something that is very exciting to me. So, before we start, I would love it if you would turn to the person next to you and ask them that exact same question from the video. What is the greatest gift you've given this year that has made a difference? Okay, I hope you guys heard some inspiring things. Excellent. Okay, I also want to ask you guys a few more questions. So, put your hand up if you have already bought all of your Christmas presents. All right, there's a few of us out there. Okay, put your hand up if you are yet to get them. I thought this might be the case. And lucky for you guys, I have done the guesswork for you. Here I have 5 creative things that you can buy this year that are quite unique. So here we go. Our first one is the knapsack. The knapsack is for the person who loves camping and sleeping, because you can wear your sleeping bag and it can be a jacket or your sleeping bag. Pretty good way to spend the summer, I think. Okay, next one is this. Lego slippers. If you are a parent or if you've babysat kids, you know these are a dream, because everyone knows the feeling of a Lego block stuck underneath your foot. It's not great, so there's a good gift. Our third one is this. This is the McMuffin maker, and you can actually have all-day breakfast from home. It makes the eggs and the bread, the bacon, all the parts all in one for you. So you can have breakfast all day round at home. It's for sale. This is a great one. This one you can take camping. It is a hot tub hammock. So you just fill it up with water, hang it somewhere, and it comes with the thing that heats it for you, the hose, everything. You can even zip it so it becomes a bit of like a sauna thing as well. This is for sale. You guys can ask me where afterwards. And this is my favorite one. So last Saturday, if you were here, I was sporting my Christmas jumper alone because Wes was not keen to buy a matching one with me. But if any of you guys want to know what would make my day, it would be wearing a jumper with me. So tonight, I'll be wearing mine if anyone's interested. Okay, so there's some cool ideas for you, but we're going to be speaking about some other presents as well. So last week, if you were here, Jordan had a giant gift on stage. I've only got some small ones this week. But Jordan was talking about the gift that keeps on giving, and he spoke about the ultimate gift, and it wasn't any of those 5 things, even though they're pretty ultimate. He's talking about something that we place. Sometimes we have all of our expectations, all of our needs, and we place it on material things like this. But Jordan was saying maybe we should place it on the ultimate gift, which is Jesus, who actually gifted himself to us. So this week, I want to pick up from that and continue on part 2. And I want to speak about, Jesus still being that ultimate gift, but maybe instead of just talking about him being the gift, how we can now give him a gift in return. So it starts off with a story about some men who also went Christmas shopping. And it's found in Matthew chapter 2, verse 2. So it starts off where Jesus was born, a baby, and these men had heard about it they came from the east. They had heard about it, and they had come to see him. So we can read it in verse 2. I think it's going to pop up here. Here we go. So they came to Herod, who was the ruler at the time, and they said, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose, and we've come to worship him." So something you should know is when they came to Herod, Herod was the king at the time, and he was kind of a jealous king, and he was like, "Say what? Who's going to be the king? I am the king." And he was like, "Okay, yeah, that's cool. Hey, when you find him, come back and tell me so I can go and worship him too." But really he wanted to go and get rid of him. So that was the first thing that was going on at this time when Jesus was born. And then we can continue on in verse 9, and it says, after they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw their star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Have you guys heard of gold, frankincense, and myrrh before? If you ask yourself the question, if you knew a hero was coming, somebody who was going to meet all your expectations, all your needs, who was going to provide for you and help you out of any dark situation in your life, what gift would you give him? Something pretty epic, I'm sure. Well, I was thinking maybe the best things I could think of was like give him an island or a jumbo jet or an amazing palace, a cool spot in New Zealand somewhere. But luckily for us, I read an article this week of some kids who actually answered this question. So I'm going to read some out to you, okay? So the first kid, Ruth, said, how did he talk to all those people without a microphone? He must have damaged his voice box. I'd give him the best microphone on the market for when he was finally ready as an adult to address all the people. I thought that was a pretty cool gift. Another kid, Aisha, said, what do you give a child who has everything? Isn't that like trying to give Bill Gates' son a gift? To avoid embarrassment, I would buy flowers because they are sweet but safe, which is always a good option for guys, just so you know. Perry, aged 11, says, I would give Jesus a lot of money, a big sheep, and a balloon that says, it's a boy. And Jordan, aged 6, says, I don't know what the wise men were thinking. If it were me, I would have brought a pillow and a blanket and maybe some clothes. There's some good ideas. But why do you think the wise men gave the gifts they did? Does anyone actually know what frankincense and myrrh is? A few of us, yep. A few people know, but they were actually two commodities that at the time had really high value. And they were probably today the equivalent of our global value we put on gold, oil, and diamonds. So basically, they were giving the best gift available. We've heard of gold. Obviously, it's still valuable today. But frankincense and myrrh, they were actually two trees. And the saps from the trees, they used for medicine, and they used them for antiseptic, digestive remedies, anti-inflammatories, painkillers, as well as an aromatic perfume. And when people smelt that perfume, they recognized it as wealth as well. So it was like giving the best gift they could possibly give to this newborn baby, to the Messiah and the King. So we might think that was a really odd gift to give a baby, but they gave the best of everything they had at a time, which is a really cool birthday present, I think. So now, thousands of years later, we celebrate Jesus' birth at Christmas time. And each year we give gifts to our family, we give gifts to our friends. Some of us even give gifts to Santa with milk and cookies. And I've even heard of the reindeers with carrots. And I'd like you to think, okay, what gift are you actually giving Jesus? I mean, it's his birthday after all. And maybe if you're somebody who's not sure about this whole Christmas thing being Jesus' birthday, if you're not really a Christ follower, maybe you should think about receiving the gift, that he is like the ultimate gift for you and all the things he want to gift you with, forgiveness and with love and acceptance the way you are. Maybe that's what you need to think about in this season. But if you do consider yourself a Christ follower, then I'd love you to think about it right now. Think about what gift are you currently giving Jesus in this season. If it's a time where we're celebrating his birthday, the Savior of the whole world, don't you think we should have something on our Christmas list for him as well? Maybe you're like me and you think, okay, what could I even give him that would be of any value? Something that's good enough and something he really deserves. The good news is he actually tells us exactly what it is he wants, and it isn't things, it's actually one thing, and that's our presence. Not our presence wrapped up all nice like this, but our presence of just being with him. Unfortunately, though, this is where a lot of us get confused and we think, okay, he wants our presence. There's a big to-do list of should do this, should do that. And so we sort of think, okay, I should give him this amount of money. I should dress this way. I should pray this amount of times a day. I should read the Bible. I should. Now that I've ticked those off, I'll put it in a box and give it to him, and then that's his present. But that's not at all the present he's talking about. He wants a different kind of present, which is actually something that comes from the heart, from our own time that we give him. And it's actually this. It's, if you forget everything I say today, this is the thing to focus on. We give Jesus a gift, not by giving him presents, but rather by being a presence for him. I'll read it again. We give Jesus a gift, not by giving him presents, not by giving him that to-do list of should-dos, but rather just by being a presence for him. And the way that we be a presence for him is by being his hands and feet. As you know, God has left us here on the ground, and we are his men on the ground to do action on this building site of the world. He's asked us to actually do stuff and to take action. And Teresa of Avila is someone who understood this very well. She's a Catholic saint, and she wrote down a prayer that summed it up so well. She says, Christ has no body now but yours, no hands, no feet on earth but yours. Yours are the eyes through which he looks compassion on the world. Yours are the feet with which he walks to do good. It continues. Yours are the hands through which he blesses all the world. Yours are the hands, yours are the feet, yours are the eyes, yours are his body. Christ has no body now on earth but yours. Which is pretty cool to think about, but it's also a huge responsibility to think that he's actually entrusted us with going and being the feet that goes to do good, or the eyes to see compassion. But this is what he asks for from us. This is the kind of presence he wants. Whenever we show someone else kindness, we're actually showing God kindness. Can you imagine what the world would look like if no one did any of those things? Imagine if none of us showed kindness for anyone else other than ourselves. Imagine if none of us actually cared enough to take action and help someone else out. I think it would be a pretty stink place to live. And that's why Jesus says, hey, you need to give me a gift by being my presence in this world. And Micah is a man in the Bible who also understood this really well. So Micah was a prophet, and at the time he was speaking to the Israelite people. And the Israelites were so caught up on displaying their acts of worship publicly so people could see what they were doing and giving their sacrifices, but they were actually giving the wrong kind of gift. They were too worried about what other people saw rather than what was coming from the heart. They were like people who wear cross necklaces, drive with bumper stickers all over their car saying, I'm a Christian, and wear a t-shirt with a slogan on it and put a cross in their front lawn. While all of those things are actually really nice and cool, this wasn't the gift that he wanted. He wants something actually from our heart as well. So Micah, he was dealing with this problem with the Israelites at the time, and he was like, man, God has made it so clear what he wants from us. He wants something from your heart, something personal, and he puts it this way in an awesome verse in Micah 6, verse 8. He says, He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. He sort of just broke it down so clear. What does he want from you? What is it he wants us to do? What kind of gift is he asking? And it's just these three things. He wants us to live a life that displays justice, mercy, and humility in action. I love the way the Message version puts it, because it sort of sums it up in a really clear way for us. And I think we have it up here as well. But he's already made it plain how to live, what to do, what God is looking for in men and women. It's quite simple. Do what is fair and just to your neighbor. Be compassionate and loyal in your love. And don't take yourself too seriously. Rather, take God seriously. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? This is the kind of present that Jesus is actually asking for. And when we get confused about what it is, this is it. It's summed up in this verse. He says, hey, this is how you should give me a gift, by being my presence and putting these things into action. Because when we do that, the world's actually going to be a better place. So I want us to spend time today looking at these three things and looking at how we can actually practically put them into our life. So the first one is act justly. So this is something that actually requires action. So this is the first gift, and it's something that it's about treating people fairly. It's not really enough just to speak about all of the problems in the world, like speaking about, there's world hunger and there's poverty in our own backyard, and there's people who are displaced and struggling, and there's people who are in need financially. Talking about those things is great. It shows you care, but it doesn't actually change the pain or do anything for somebody who's actually struggling. So Jesus asks us, hey, take action and act justly. He says, you might feel bad about something, and that's great, but until you act, it's not enough. God expects us to take care of people he's placed in our lives, to take action on his behalf, to actually do something. And Jesus himself demonstrated this so well with the way he did something. He did something for the foreigners, for the demon-possessed, for the widows, for the orphans. And he says, hey, do exactly as I did. If you think about this one of acting justly, think about your own life and what are you currently doing that is putting acting justly into practice? Is there anyone in your sphere of influence, in your community? Is there single mothers, elderly, someone with a disability, someone in need financially, immigrants, lonely people, maybe an addict who just needs a little bit of extra help? Jesus wants us to actually take action and to do something about it. And he says, when you do that, that's how you act justly. And when you act justly, that's how you gift me. The coolest thing is that being a part of Gracegate over the past year, I've actually been blown away by seeing a room full of people who actually do this very thing. I've seen people help other people move houses. I've seen people give someone a room in their house. I've seen people loan a car. I've seen people help people financially. I've seen people talk to someone in need and give up extra time to help. And I've just seen people, by choosing to act justly, they've actually not just thought about it, but they've done something. And it's been inspiring to see that already happening in our community. And I reckon over the next year, imagine if that just increased and rippled because we were intentional about it. It's pretty exciting. The second thing is just like act justly a little bit, but it's love mercy. And this one is, when I thought of the word love mercy, I thought of a game called Mercy. Have any of you guys played it? It's not so great. So when I was in high school, I went to a school that was 45 minutes away from my house. It was like an hour-long bus ride every day, there and back. And me and my brothers and other friends on the bus would play this game, Mercy. And it's like a knuckles game where you like put your hand in someone else's and you've got to like force their hand backwards and around until they scream out mercy. Pretty good game, huh? Not really. I hated it, but I would find myself playing it every single day because of my competitive streak and my constant need to show my brothers that I was strong enough. Still am, just in case you're wondering. But thankfully, this wasn't the type of mercy that Micah is asking for. Micah said, he says, love mercy. So he says, don't just demonstrate it, don't just show us, practice it, but he says, actually fall in love with mercy. Take it that extra step. If we look at what the word mercy actually means, not that game, it's when it's within our power or right to punish or harm someone else, instead we show compassion and forgiveness. Mercy looks beyond what somebody deserves or what we think we should do with revenge, but it looks to how we should be treated or how we want to be treated, or a step further, how God's treated us. See, true mercy, it always involves an element of sacrifice. It's the way we respond after something has been taken from us, or the way we react after we've been treated badly. If you want to check in and see how your mercy is going, check how you react or respond to somebody when things don't go right. Jesus says, if you really want to gift me by being my presence, do it by loving mercy. This gift is actually a really hard one for me, and if I think about the three things, I find this one the hardest, because sometimes I'm like, really, you want me to show love and compassion and forgiveness to that person? Are you sure, God? Do you even know what they did? This is the last thing they deserve. But he raises the bar and he says, yeah, do this. And don't just do it, love it. It's pretty straightforward. And we're like, okay. And then the third thing he wants us to do is to walk humbly. And if you look up the word humbly, it means to not be proud or arrogant. It means to be someone who, shows humility in the way they act and the way they speak to someone modest. And we're called to be like Christ. If you're a Christ follower, we need to do exactly that, follow Christ. And Christ was referred to as being humble so many times in the Bible that we should be walking in the same manner and walking humbly and view others as equal. And Christ wasn't somebody who was like, wait on me hand and foot. He was somebody who got his hands dirty and he walked alongside people and he says, hey, come and do the exact same thing I do. And the best part about this one is he doesn't just say walk humbly and that's it and figure it out on your own. He says walk humbly with your God. So it's not about anything we've got to figure out on our own strength. It's actually walking with your God, walking alongside him, learning from him, journeying with him. And if you look at these three things, none of them are possible unless you walk with God first. The one thing that Jesus really, really wants from us this Christmas season is to be in relationship with him. And when you're in relationship with him, when you accept his unconditional love, when you accept his forgiveness, when you accept his gift of eternal life, it's those moments that we're actually able to then show love and to show justice. Because until we're actually walking with God, we don't have the strength and power to do that on our own. It'll only be shallow and it'll only last for a certain amount of time. So you need to make that your first priority before you put any of these things into action. So this series, we've been looking all about presents over presents at this time of the year. And it actually can be really hard to do, especially if you have kids around. They're all about the presents. And maybe you yourself have actually had a horrible year, and the last thing you feel like doing is being God's presence. Maybe when you hear that you should reflect God by the people you hang out with, that scares you because you think, man, I'm anything but someone who reflects God right now. And if that's you, then that's okay, because there's seasons for that in life. If we look at this verse in Micah 6:8, it reminds me of something the Grinch said in the movie The Grinch. He says, then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't thought of before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. This year, if that's you, if you've had a really hard year, don't let this busyness of the Christmas stress and the pressure of this season put you off. Maybe instead of thinking about what present you can give Jesus, maybe you need to focus instead on claiming the gift that he's already given you and deciding to cash in on him being your ultimate gift. Cash in on how he says, I'm going to be your strength. I'm going to meet your expectations. I'm going to provide for you. I'm going to give you peace. Connect with him in a real way, and that can be your challenge in this season. Don't worry about being his presence until you've connected with him. The little bit more that the Grinch mentioned can simply be you connecting with God. That could be your little bit more. Or maybe it could be in the way that you treat people. Maybe you're going to up your game and give that little bit more kindness, that little bit more compassion. Or maybe your little bit more could be your presence with Jesus and the time that you spend being a presence for him. The little bit more that I want to suggest today that we all take on board is a little bit more with your time. Time is actually one of the most precious gifts that we're given. It's something that we can't put a price on. If we give it away, we can't get it back. And it's something that is so valuable. There's a quote that I love that really sums up the value, and it says, what you do today matters because you are exchanging a day of your life for it. Which is pretty cool, because sometimes when you think about your day, you're like, man, I'm giving away a whole day that I'll never get back. So am I doing something that matters? Don't waste your time. The little bit more with our time could be us simply deciding to be intentional about the way we're spending it, with the presents we're giving to people. Are we giving them the leftover at the end of the day work version of us? the one that we've just got this much attention span left or this much tolerance left? Or are we really giving them the presence of the true us, the awesome, unique us who God's created? The coolest thing about being God's presence is that when we're present with other people, He uses us to be a presence for Him. It's a win-win situation. And I would just love to be a person who could do this, who could live out Micah 6:8 and then live out these three things, that I could actually act justly and not somebody who just speaks about it, because that breaks my heart when you see that someone has the ability to do something to make someone else's life better, and yet we do nothing about it. We just speak about it. I want to be someone who actually acts that out. I want to be someone who values everybody, even the people who I think, do they really deserve that? And that can only happen from me being connected with God in a way that it's His love and it's His value that I place on other people. And I would absolutely love it if we were a room full of people who did exactly that, these three things. And we're intentional about doing these three things so that the time we were giving was making a difference, not just for the people we're helping, but it's making a difference to God as well. Imagine if we decided we're going to do this not just in this season, but if going into the new year, this was going to be our new challenge to live out Micah 6:8. I think if you think about doing that, imagine the lives of the people who, in your sphere of influence whose life you would be changing. We need to be intentional to spend our time wisely. And this year, already in this Christmas season, I've read some really cool stories about people who are intentionally already being a presence for God. And one is a Santa in a mall. And if you think about being a Santa in a mall, it would be a pretty tough job. You would have kids lining up, screaming and crying and sitting on you and having sticky chocolate fingers on you. And you could have some spoiled brats, or you could have some really intense parents asking you to pose a certain way. It would be super hard doing that day in and day out. What kind of sounds like what a parent is, I guess. But it seems really hard job. But this Santa in the mall actually made a mum's day. And this is what she did. I'll read it to you guys. She said to Santa, "He is blind and autistic and very interested in Santa." Santa said, "Say no more," and immediately got down on the floor to greet the little man. He talked to Matthew, the little boy, for a long time. He let him feel his hat, his suit, and even told him to pull his beard. They talked about the red suit and the toys. He asked Matthew if he wanted to know anything else, and Matthew said, "Your eyes that twinkle," from the poem "'Twas the Night Before Christmas. So Santa let him touch his eyes for as long as he wanted while he told him the story. Such a cool thing, because that Santa had two choices. One, he could have quickly taken the photo and then got on to the next kids in the line to finish the day earlier. But instead, he decided to take option two. He chose to be present with the kid. He actually went the extra mile in showing compassion and kindness and mercy. And it didn't just make the mum's day, it made the kid's day, and I'm sure it made his day as well. There's another story I also read this week, and it was about 3 women who took up the challenge of this Micah 6:8 and were present. There was a mum who was on a flight, and she had a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and she was in a line waiting to get on the plane. And she was just in security, so she was carrying her 2-year-old, she was holding the 5-year-old's hand, and she had all of their carry-on luggage as well. And the kids were playing up in the line, and the kids were crying, and a lady said, "Hey, come and hop in front of me." And so she was in the line in security, and then another mum said, "Here, I'll take all the carry-on bags." And then they actually they weren't on the same flight, but they walked her to the gate to make sure she'd get there and to board her flight. And then on the plane, the 2-year-old was having a complete meltdown, and she was trying to control her and hoping people on the plane wouldn't get angry. And another mum, the third one, came up and said, "Hey, looks like you need a break. Let me take him for a while." And she held the 2-year-old the entire flight. And this is a picture of the stranger holding the kid for the mum. And it's something so simple, but the thing that I loved about it is that those 3 women actually put the act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly into practice. Like, they didn't give up any of their finances. They just gave up a little bit of time, and it made such a difference to the mum. She said she'll never forget the act of kindness that those three women showed. And the coolest thing is, it wasn't just an act of kindness for that mum, it was also an act of kindness and a present for God, because when we treat his people he cares about, which is everyone, by the way, with kindness, then we're also giving God a present. So there's so many people already doing this in simple ways. And I want you to think about, how are you going to respond? What's your gift you're going to be? What kind of present are you giving? It could be something so simple like the Santa or like this woman in this story. Or you could give or volunteer some of your time this Christmas. You could bake something for someone else just because, to lighten their load. You could donate to a cause that's making a difference. You could invite someone who's disconnected home for Christmas. You could open a door and carry someone else's groceries. You could stand up for somebody who needs it. You can forgive someone and let go of that grudge that you've been holding on to for way too long. You can share what you have. You could give some of your time to help a neighbor or a friend, even if it's just in the garden or ticking off their to-do list. It can be so simple if we just decide to be intentional about the way we're spending our time. And one of the practical ways we're hoping that you guys take this on board is by the tree in the foyer. Have any of you guys read any of the tags in the foyer? Yeah, a few of you? We'd actually love it if you just took them. So the whole deal with that tree in the foyer is for you to go and grab one of the tags and then actually do the challenge it has on it. So I've got 3 here. This one says, bake something delicious for someone. So you take the tag, you put it on the fridge, and you make it your challenge. The next one is, shout someone a Starbucks Christmas coffee, which is pretty cool. And then give a heartfelt compliment to a stranger. And there's so many little challenges to get you guys started, and there are small ways to actually take action. And you never know, those little things might make a big impact. So our present, to be present for Jesus. That's what we're speaking about. But these presents should actually make us move and actually do something. It should cause us to act, and when we act, to serve somebody else. It's a ripple effect. And when we walk humbly with God, it keeps us in a place where we're actually in tune with him, and we can hear where it is he wants us to show justice, or where he wants us to love mercy and actually do something. So God's inviting us to make our own move. What's your step going to be? What gift are you going to give him, and what present are you giving? Is it the right sort of present? First of all, you just need to do one thing, and that is simply just ask God to lead you. Ask him, where do you want me to act justly? Where is it that you want me to show mercy? And how can I walk humbly with you? When we're doing these things, that's when we're actually giving the best present that God could ask for, and the only thing he asked for. I love Christmas and this time of the year, and anyone who knows me knows that I'm already excited, put the tree up at the beginning, playing the music and wearing the jumper on my own. But I love the decorations, I love the time with family, I love the food, most of the food. There's something that I'm not a fan of, and put your hand up if you're with me, and that's Christmas pudding. Yeah, what's with all the raisins? I don't understand. Except every year I'd actually take a huge, almost quarter of the Christmas pudding serving for myself. And my mum thought I loved it, and so she'd always make sure she made it and decorated it great. But the reason I would take a big helping of this Christmas pudding is because of the treasure inside it. My mum would hide 20 cents, 50 cents, dollar coins, $2 coins, all in this Christmas pudding. And it would keep my lolly mix supply going for ages. So I would sift through all the raisins, pick out all my treasures, and then pour so much custard on it that I could eat the rest. You see, when we give Jesus a gift with our time and being his presence, there's so many hidden treasures inside as well. When we act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with Jesus, it's already a pretty big gift. It already looks great. It's a great treat, just like the Christmas pudding. But there's more. When you give Jesus your time, and when you give him the present of your presence, we end up getting so much more in return. We get to grow as people. We get to show love, we get shown love in return, and we get the joy of making someone else's day better just because. All the while knowing that this is exactly what God requires from us. So I want to leave you guys with a thought, and that is to think about what present are you giving Jesus? Because giving him the present of our presence is the ultimate gift. And I don't want you guys just to think about that in this season, but make it a part of our daily lives, especially as we go into the new year. I just want to pray with you guys. God, help us not just to focus on the presence, but rather being your presence. Help us to be able to be your presence in not just this season, but in the year to come. Help us to be able to reflect you in all we do, following your instructions to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly. Help us to be wise with our time and the way we spend it. God, give us direction on where you want us to serve, and thank you for the gift you are to us.